Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back again. I'm back with the brother man. The brother men are back with me. You know what I'm saying? We're out here. At this point, I don't even know what I'm saying. Torike is like, food has to load into the system soon. We have to eat food soon. But we'll be done with this episode in a minute. But before we leave here, we want to talk about something. Look at me talking about leaving before we even start. Before we start the podcast. I'm very hungry. We'll be done in a minute. So before I leave and go and eat, we need to talk about who a good man is. You see the title. Why is Bobadilla so good?
A lot of chaos in this introduction. Chaos.
We need to talk about what a good man is. You people are, you are confused about what a good man is. I'm here now instead of eating food to be telling you what a good man is. That one is your cup of tea. So we'll get right into the episode, right? So hope you guys are good. Hope you guys had a nice week. Yeah. All right. It's Bo. I'm to Ronti in the building. We're out here. Yes. Bo is not wearing the sassy ass socks again, so we'll let him slide for this episode. What do you guys think a good man is? Okay, before you guys answer that question, I need to put this disclaimer out here that I'm really tired of what do you call it? Of our women, women and people who are not men thinking that they can define what a good man looks like. Do you understand? Yes, I don't like that. I don't like that. Most men don't even know what a good man looks like. So much so that they will skip on the good man, on having a relationship with the good man, and go and have a relationship with some dead guy that will put them 20 years backwards than be with, because you don't even know what a good man looks like when you see one. And I'll get to what my own definition is in a moment. But I just want to hear what the brother men think about, this idea of being a good man, of being a gentleman. When you talk about being a gentleman, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is the guy that, chivalry. Your babe, chivalry. Basically, get your doors, get the car doors. You're trying to sit down, pull out the chairs and all of that. And that does not mean you're a good man.
When she's crying, you take out your handkerchief.
And give it to her, and they see me saying, okay, no, that's not what a good man is.
That's a gentleman, though.
I mean, chivalry is nice if you're doing it for somebody that you care about. Yeah. But we all know that those are some of the arsenals that we have in our tools when we are trying to make a good impression with a babe that usually you just want to have sexual relations with and move on. Yeah. You're not actually... But we know we have to play the game. We know we have to give the illusion of, that guy is a nice guy. He makes me feel a certain way. He's not... I've not looked at his character and his patterns like Ruth said in her episode and all those things. No, but it's just an illusion. We're okay with something seeming a certain way without properly investigating that this is what it is, because we don't even know what that thing actually is. So what does a good man have that makes him a good man? Let's discuss.
People are looking at me.
It's doing me as if I should have bought me pie.
Okay, well, I said something before this. I don't want to answer this episode, but I took it to the Bible. You understand? So to just demystify this thing is that we are going to do our best to define what a good man is. Yeah? But it's man at the end of the day. It's not God. So there are still limits to whoever the man can be. No matter, no man can embody every single thing that it means to be a good man. So that's just the first thing you're putting down. No more man can embody everything. So after that, then we can look at things that make somebody a good man. So if you have many of these things in you, then you can qualify for a good man.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to also put out there, two things actually. One is, I feel like everybody has, no matter who you are, there's no clean, good, and bad. Like everybody, I think that's why we're human. Everybody's rounded. Everybody has a second side of them. Or different sides. Exactly. It's like a dark side.
Yeah.
Or a bad side. Let me put. This is again my own belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second thing is good for us to establish who would that good that we want to define, that good man, is it from our own point of view? Is it from society's point of view? Is it from women's point of view? Are we discussing different points of view? Or is it just...
So to answer that, I would say that being a good man or somebody that is a good man, for example, is not someone like that, as you've said, is void of flaws or anything. But I think it's a very objective question that requires an objective answer. It's not a pick or choose answer. Do you understand? One might be deluded as to the characteristics that make up a good man, but it doesn't change what in actuality a good man is. Do you understand? There is this thing that I hear a lot from podcasts and many people who have spoken about some things that we didn't get together as 300, 400 years ago, before a telephone even was thought of being conceived, right? We didn't get together. People that never knew themselves from different parts of the world didn't get together to create certain rules that different people from different tribes all, you understand, agreed to and, live their lives by. A typical example of that is what constitutes a honorable man.
Yeah.
If you go to the Aztecs or the British or to Africa, you can almost tell like there will be similarities between those definitions. Things that have to do with being honorable, living for something more than yourself, having integrity.
Well, I think in Nigeria, we have it upside down because like our politicians are called honorables.
What's your money? A good man.
Yes, you are getting where I'm coming from.
So you're proving my point.
Our society. Someone is a politician is honorable.
Yeah.
That word is not
It does not mean he's honorable.
Exactly. And we already put that word on somebody that has a position.
Yeah.
So it's just
like I said, there are certain characteristics that make up a good man. And I just want to pick
universal.
That are universal. Okay. For example, like, what is a good man without integrity? Nobody can trust the veracity of your words. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, back then, men of old in the medieval ages, they will sail across seas to keep their word. I gave a word to so and so tribal chief or so and so thing. We made a pact. We killed a lamb or something or whatever thing they used to do that time to signify oaths and bonds. And it meant that if they attack me, you fight for me. If they attack you, I come to fight for you. And it doesn't matter if there is famine in their land or something stupid is happening. They will sail across seas. There are many stories, about history and all those old times riddled with things like this that, if you attack this person, because me and this person have an oath or an agreement, I won't break it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Things like that. These were very universal things.
I agree with integrity.
Yes. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Things like, for example, discipline. Do you understand? The men who made the most impact in the world were not men who saw the world subjectively. They saw the world very objectively in black and white. Do you understand? It's either this thing is wrong or it is right. You can't be in the middle. Do you understand? You didn't have lukewarm men. You didn't have men that didn't fit into... You understand? Somehow they knew that, look, and this is why history judges some men worse than some other men. Men like Hitler, for example. Do you understand? Even though he was doing what he thought was right.
Correct.
Do you understand? It was not rooted in what was actually objectively right, because taking a bunch of people and killing them and stuffing them into gas chambers for no other reason than the fact that you have the power to and you just want to. It just shows that you're a psychopath.
I have to say that a good man, how do I put it? A good man has to be judged by his actions. So I don't think we can use our thoughts to be good.
That's why I say it's objective.
Yeah, so it has to be objective.
It's very objective.
So if we're going to define a good man, it has to be, what does this guy do? Yeah. So what are the doings that guys can do that will make you a good man? And you mentioned something very important. You said chivalry, a guy can be nice, open the door, and it can all be an act because he doesn't even know if what he's doing is good.
In fact, it's what they just even told him that men do when you go out on a date.
So he just
if you want to make a good impression, get her chairs, get her
But we can only judge him by his actions.
Yeah. So if it's based on, and I like Bo's definition statement.
Yeah.
If it's based on that, a guy that opens door for a woman, he's doing something good now.
Which is why the concept of being a good man first starts from your character. Do you understand? Anybody can act a certain way, but not anybody can make that thing that they're doing a lifestyle.
Yeah, so like you're consistent with what those things that represent you and your own goodness. You're consistent with those things.
Consistency in action makes you a good person or a bad person, because your character that will show you a good person or a bad person.
Exactly. Because that's where it's coming from. Like Jesus said in the Bible. Sorry, before you ask your question, like Jesus said in the Bible, this is the best analogy that I can give of being a good man or a bad man, right? He said that you can't take new wine and put it into old wine skin. Because even if you try to, you will put it into it, but eventually the old wine skin will burst. So usually it's that typical thing that he said of by their fruits, which means by the results that they get after a while from living their lives, you can tell where in the spectrum they are, whether they're good men or they're bad men. You can't act. You can act. You can come out and act like you're a dope guy, but you can't keep that up. Like you said, consistency. Over time, you can't keep acts up. It's like smoke. It will smell. Do you understand?
Yeah. So I just laugh. I just saw something online. Someone said the most unrealistic thing you can find is reality TV shows, because there's nothing about reality. because they just put themselves in the situation, trying to act and everything. So going back to the reality now, and it's about consistency. I want to ask, if someone has been consistently putting out some correct action, then he messes up in a big way, is that person still a good person?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he just made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
We have established that it's not perfect.
When you're human, as long as you're human, you're not perfect.
You're not perfect at all.
You always have, there are those flaws, those kinks that come.
So is it what is striving to be good?
See,
because this is about action. Sorry, it's action. Now, let me tell you, when boys were boys, not men, when boys were boys, we were very good in taking instructions. You understand? Do it like this, we just do it like this. When we grew into men, we started taking many decisions by ourselves. And we didn't need to, even if you can hear what somebody said in your head, all the actions that started coming from you. And at the end of the day, I look at everything, I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be judged by my actions. Some people have other actions and still end up in the same position I am going to end up in. So must I, it's not following this simple instruction.
Yeah.
Can't I just bring out different kinds of action, get results?
You mean like a good way versus like a bad way?
Yes.
Type thing.
And at the end of the day, especially in society like Nigeria.
Can you give a typical example of what you're talking about? Like a scenario.
Okay.
A real life scenario that people can relate to.
I think
all of this still seems very hypothetical to me.
I had one guy that was with me in school that year.
Yeah.
And the guy was into fraud and stuff.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go to school. So came to school, trained us in hostel and all that. This guy was doing different things and stuff. But he wanted to go to school. So his good thing was that he wanted to steal this money, get to school, finish with a good degree, then drop it, and then, continue. And then with his actions that he was taking were not good. But he was looking for a good result at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if he finally got into diploma or stuff. I can't remember how his whole story ended. But I'm just trying to say, so some people can take wrong actions and they're trying to get to
good
action.
But that's not consistency in character.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he in his mind, I need to do, circumstance and life has dealt me this blow and put me in this situation where I need to do some things that are not categorized as good. But I want it to lead me to a good path. It is very difficult for that kind of character to create that kind of outcome where he becomes good. Most likely, what will happen is, because you've used this wrong path to gain money and all that you're most likely going to be consistent with that.
You have to keep it up, because we're talking about money here. We're talking about lifestyle. We all know what 9-to-5s pay. Do you understand? In Nigeria, and how long it takes you for you to start earning like 6 figures or 7 figures in Nigeria. Top 6 figures, like 500K and above. And then 7 figures. It takes a time. And again, I think the operative word here is consistency in character. Because anybody can play a role. anybody can act like there's something when they are not. And I think that is what is going on, right? We all have different faces in this world. I think that's one of the problems that us as men in the world we have. We're not very authentic to our purpose and to our line and to our path. We're not authentic.
We're not authentic
it's
to
not
it.
Good. So we play a role. We give this is who we are at home.
Yeah.
This is who we are in school.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. We be
because we need to make money.
Yes.
This is who we will be when we make the money.
You understand? But at the end of the day, you find a lot of guys and see what's going on in our parents' time. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You said something about being a boy and being a man. When we were growing up, for example, our fathers, some of the things they did not make sense to us, to be honest. Do you understand? Some of the things we didn't even agree. Some of us even thought our fathers were wicked. They were tough, guys who just wanted to kill. They were boss kills. They just wanted to kill everybody's joy. But now that you're older, in fact, no, we're literally doing those same things in terms of discipline, order, structure, and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we look at our parents' generation, and in as much as they made mistakes, there's a way they consistently live their lives. You meet some of their friends, and you can tell that this is who this guy has been from when he was 25 to when he was 60. And that's why the things that they put down last longer. Now, we have young boys who are, for example, going into fraud and earning money in one swoop than some of our fathers worked for. Some of our fathers had to work 20 years to get. But where is what they've used it to do? Correct. Is it standing the test of time? Is their character, their lifestyle, their investments, are they standing the test of our relationships? Our families, the wives we're marrying, the families we're marrying, are they 20, 30, 40, 50-year relationships or relationships that have the potential for that kind of longevity? No, it's not, because of this inconsistency. So you
just supporting what you're saying. I feel like habits that you've developed over time becomes your values. Your values really don't come out of thin air. It's those things that you have been doing over time consistently, whether it's good or bad. It is that becomes your values, and values can be good and bad. Your values now form your character. It becomes who you are. So it's very difficult for you to live a certain type of way consistently, and then all of a sudden just feel like you want to have the different set of values, a different set of character. All those things are interlinked. So you can't change. That guy could probably change, but he has to let go of the certain habits, the values that he's grown up with, and then start to develop new ones.
And how do you even do that when this, like the lifestyle that he used to get the money, it has reinforced.
Benefited.
It's a psychological reinforcement. It's like if he's ever in a tight spot again, remember what he used to do.
That got him out of it.
And easy money is very hard to just let
go.
We think it's that easy. It's not that easy. I mean, you see that you cash out like $15,000 in one fell swoop. I mean, it's not anything that... Okay.
Greed will enter.
Yeah. There's a question I want to ask. Not because, I've not thought about the answer but I just want to pick our brains to kind of know what we think. What forms the basis and the foundation for the values that determine whether you are a good man or a bad man? What
basis of the values?
Yes, what do we use as a yardstick, as a standard to determine the set of values that determine
whether I
am a good man or bad man?
Yeah.
So now we're going into spirituality and religion and faith and stuff like that. Because for me, that is what it is. And I'll say my reason in a minute. But we're speaking to an audience where we live in a world now where anything that has to do with church, God, Jesus, whatever, all of those things are just looked down on because all the lies of Christianity was used to perpetuate evil, or Christianity is a white man's religion. First of all, big lies. Before Christopher Columbus even thought of ever, finding the American islands, the Christianity existed. The Ethiopian Bible is the oldest Bible in the world. Christianity was in Ethiopia long before Do you understand? Long before Europeans even sorted themselves out into countries, when they were just tribes, Nordic tribes and Scandinavian people believing in Odin and all those other, and Thor and all those guys. So that one is just a lie. That one is just, it's just a typical example of what we're talking about. A man takes something from a very skilled trauma type position and perpetuates evil with it. And somehow, when you do that long enough, it tends to give people a bad impression of where you're coming from or what you're using to perpetuate that nonsense. But the key question for me here is, both to the people who believe in God and the ones that do not, what is the standard with which we determine what makes a man a good man or not?
Let me start.
How do we do that? If you don't believe in anything, what is the basis of your morality?
As you ask the
What's
question,
the foundation?
As you ask that question, I had the train of thought, so I don't want to forget it.
Yeah,
so let me try and remember. So before I even get to the main points of what you're saying, talking about the distinction between a good man and a gentleman, I never even liked that term gentleman because I always felt like this was a pushover. This was a pushover person. Which is why fella sang that song that he's not a gentleman.
Bow.
Yeah.
But even coming from, okay, let's look at the story of the most popular man in the Bible, which is Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? So there are a few times in the Bible that it was recorded that Jesus got angry. The most popular time is when he went to the context. He went to a temple.
Yeah. And they were doing buying and
People were
selling.
buying and there were vendors at the temple. They were buying and selling oxen, sheep. They were doing bureau de change there.
Yeah.
And this was a place he wanted for outsiders to come and get introduced to God.
Yeah.
So he got angry. The Bible said he formed from cords. He made a whip like Koboko. Started flogging them. Started throwing away tables, throwing away, and sent everybody out.
Yeah.
Now, someone sitting back, they will say, "This guy is not a gentleman at all."
He's
a rascal.
But why I said that story is to answer David's
Your
question.
voice is not winning the Grammy anytime soon, bro.
To answer David's question from my own perspective, and now see what you guys think about this. I think the way you can tell a person's value, it comes out when you see what makes the person angry.
Fantastic.
Or when the person is in a tight corner.
Fantabulous.
So from that story now, we see that Jesus was upset because why they were disrespecting his father.
Yeah. That's the only time he was
I had this friend.
Bro. Guy, what you just said is just hitting me now.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I'll say what came to my head.
I had this friend. We were friends for a couple years. To me, this guy was a very good guy. He had his flaws, but was a very good guy. He used to come through for me and my other friends in different ways. So there was a time he didn't have a job. He lost his job. That was the first time I was seeing that with this guy. So there were changes that started happening in this guy. We're seeing that someone sent him money to do something. He won't do it. He will chop the money. He started stealing things from the house and everything. And before you know it, he just left. So that was how we ended it. So that showed me that. Or let me ask, do you think that was the person's true character the whole time?
Well, I feel like somewhere like it said Bible now. The Bible says when you go through the fire and when you come out,
that's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's when you know whether you are plastic or you are tempered steel. So it's when you hit problems and you hit obstacles. That's when your real character comes out. So at the end of the day, like you said, people can act. Yeah, people can act. Acting is sweet. But it's until you... And I'll give my example of myself because even me, when it happened to me, I didn't know. There was one day I was working with someone and I went somewhere with my guy and all of a sudden, I don't know, I bumped into this guy. I was like, why are you bumping into me? I was like, oh, sorry. And I left. And then I came and I saw him again. That's okay. I apologized for that time. I don't know. When this guy just gave me a dirty slap, boom. I just kind of slapped that the whole place. Everybody just kept quiet. Everybody was waiting for something. I just said, whoa. I just walked away. Went to ease myself. And I came back and I sat down. And I just kept quiet. Everybody was going on and I just walked out. Now, even me, I didn't know that I was going to keep quiet and go and sit down. Because the next election was supposed to give my own, supposed to do my own back. But I just went back outside. Next thing, like 3 guys, I didn't even know some other guys were there, that I already had issues, you know. I didn't even know when issues were in the air already. I was like, guy, you just save Van because they were looking for how that whole place was going to turn into a fight.
And they would have finished.
It was just opportunity. You know, not only me, so many other people and so many other people. You understand? So I didn't even know. But that brought out the character in me when I did not expect it.
Yeah.
I don't even get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's why
So what
you
made
cannot
you?
act.
Let me ask. What made you
Sit down.
and not react?
That's even the answer to
That's
answering that question.
That's what me I'm saying.
Question that
Because I don't
asked.
even know.
What forms
You get-
the basis for that level of self-control? It doesn't just come from nowhere. Because here's the truth. If you attack me in public unprovoked, I'm going to knock you out. Do you understand? We're going to get into it.
If you know
There's
somebody
some
back,
other
it will pop out.
And you didn't know who this person was.
So I like this. I like this.
Yes.
So in this scenario,
Yeah.
what reaction is good and what reaction is bad?
That's the thing. This one is very
Is that
Very, very dicey.
This one is very
It
dicey.
depends.
But what I'm
That's
saying is that-
subject to
yeah, it's very-
discretion.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
subject to
Discretion.
You can look at it and be like,
So
this
many
guy's not
things.
worth my
Intense.
energy.
In so many. I'm not, and I knew the person a little, not too close, but I knew the person
Okay.
through somebody else.
Okay.
But my whole, I think that's what came to my mind. I was like, I can't engage this guy. This guy is not.
It's not worth my time.
It's not what that. I just paused. I just laughed.
Mm.
Walked to the restroom, eased myself, came back and sat down. People were looking at me like, that's the guy that did this. That's the guy that did this. At the end of the day, I just smiled. After they shouted, what's the guy that did this? What's that? What happened?
Yeah.
You get my own point. So I just overlooked it. Meanwhile, later they still dealt with that guy. So people that still wanted to deal with him.
Yeah.
And I was not part of that nonsense. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that at that point in time, that is when you will know.
Yeah.
Because you can say, oh, have self-control.
Yeah,
Until
values.
it happens
Yes.
to you.
Until you're in a tight
And that's
corner.
why you said that you can't act this thing. It's something that you have to be doing consistently.
Yeah.
So you must be.
And that's why I'm being very honest with myself to say, there are some issues that you walk away from.
Yeah.
Wisdom, tells you that, this guy is not just worth my time. But for me, a boundary for me is do not, if you're not trying to go to Igbobi or something, do you understand? Do not put your hands on me. Do you understand?
That's a different
Let's not even get to
level.
that. Like, you can shout, you can do anything you want to do. I will look at that and look for how maybe we can solve it without anybody having to go home with a black eye.
Let me
But
bust your
anything
head.
that makes you put your hands on me,
Let me bust
bro,
your
you're
head.
going to the
I
hospital.
agree with you. Let's not try to bust your head to that. I agree with you.
I'm just being honest about who I am.
Maybe
About
that
the kind
one,
of
maybe
person
that
I
one
am.
was intuition you felt or something.
Yeah, my
not
point.
discretion.
Sometimes-
It could even be a kidney because I'm a believer as well. And we believe in the Holy Spirit,
Okay.
right? And the Holy Spirit in that time might just tell you, there might just be that
calm
restraint.
down,
Just calm down.
Yeah.
That calmness now that you exhibited, at least it became obvious to you why you had to be calm in that
Yes.
moment.
That saved your
Because
life.
if you were not calm in that moment, things could have escalated.
Might have
And if
escalated.
someone's head got busted,
Yeah.
or maybe somebody fainted or died or something, you would be roped into all of that. Now that they still treated this mess up, you were not involved. Do you understand that kind of? That might have been a kidney at that time, and that's why the Bible itself talks about balance. In one verse, it says, "Do not answer a fool." Do you understand?
Unless you think he's wise.
In the same,
Then he says, answer a fool unless you think he's wise.
And there's a time for everything. That's why I think
Exactly.
these values you are seeing, it's a person's value comes out when they are backed up. It's easy for me to be a generous giver when I just got
When
an
you have
alert
all
of
the-
1 million
when you have
naira
abundance.
money. But when I have 100 naira and someone's asking me for 5,
yeah.
that's when you know my real values and whether I'm that generous in the first place. So I think that's
So
initial.
what I want to bring from here is this, and it's an actionable advice. Men, do not shy away from tough times because that's usually what reveals to yourself your truest character.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from
feel
tough
you.
times.
Who was that Nigerian writer that wrote a poem that he wrote rough? I mean, one wrote, we know that poem. That
one?
make my path tough. He wrote a story about a write-up in newspaper back in the day
Yeah.
that God should give him challenges on his way so that he can become the person that God wants him
Challenges
to be.
show you. It shows you.
It
Yeah.
reveals your true self.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does.
And when you find out who your true self is, like when in this example now where you showed restraint, that's something to go home and be proud of. To say, okay, I showed restraint. I know that. I mean, it doesn't get worse than another man slapping you in front of other people,
Yeah.
and you don't respond. So that means if she were to pop off another certain way, maybe I would show restraint. You go home and you're happy about that. 2, if you react to that, you can gauge the way you react, the way you reacted. Was it overboard? Was it commensurate to what the person did to me? Do you understand? So that way, it's feedback for you. The problem is nobody wants to be a villain. Everybody wants to be the hero in their own story. Do you understand?
Okay.
My somebody very close to me was telling me that, you know, she was speaking with her father, and her father admitted it to her that, you know, there were some mistakes I made when I was, you know, bringing you guys up as my children that I wish I didn't. I know better now, but I can't take back those years where I was living in that ignorance and I didn't practice this thing that I know now. I'm very, very sorry about it. That's something else that I've noticed in the older generation. Those guys, like, for real though, like, when it dawns on them, except for the very, very stubborn ones, which we all know, right? But even if they don't apologize to you, there's always one close friend or one auntie or one colleague that you're like, buddy, me like it got emotion in 1974, yeah. You understand? There's always, you have to be realistic with yourself about, you know, your nature, who you are. For example, I always like to use myself as an example. In the area of anger management, you know, everything was fine till my father died. You understand? And when my father died, you know, like, I didn't get the kind of help that a son who was that close to his father should have gotten when his father died. So, and throughout when he died, throughout the burial, I didn't shed a single tear. And that's scary. Like, if I had a son that didn't shed a single tear when somebody that close to him dies, that's a problem. Then after that, I now got shipped to Nigerian Navy Secondary School where we're drilling. They were drilling us every morning like we're going to war.
If your dad died or not.
Do you understand? They didn't want to know anything. You were chopping unnecessary slap. So all of that built up, Kinney, and, you know, like, I knew how to handle myself in a fight. You get what I'm saying? So the very last one that happened, that really, it was like a family intervention. So if everybody had to come around, somebody embarrassed my brother on the street. Good cause, good reason. And a boy that I told my younger brother not to roll with was upset that I told my younger brother not to roll with him. Do you understand? And then my brother, these were the days of playing PS2 in game centers. Yeah. Went to his street, and long story short, he beat my brother and my cousin out of the street. As soon as I heard that was a worthy cause to be angry, the way I should have gone about that anger now, do you understand? I see now that what I could have done was to take my younger brother along, go to his house, sit with his parents, and say, see what your son did to my brother. Please warn him never to do this again. Because the next time, if you people don't discipline him, I will discipline him for you. You get that kind of thing. They will even respect you, self, and thank you for coming to us and not pay. That was not what I did. I went to the guy's house quite all right, but I did not go with my brother. I went with my fist. You understand? Went to his parents, told him, asked for him because I wanted to beat him in front of his parents. And I'm a Navy boy, so nothing is going to happen to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? I didn't find him. I went to sleep. And this is where I knew that when I was getting help and when I was in therapy, I started to evaluate myself. Guys, I went to sleep. When you sleep on an issue, you're supposed to get clarity.
You got angry.
You're holding on to all that aggression.
I woke up the very next morning, it was like it just happened.
Looking for things that will make you angry.
And my mom usually says it. She's like, she calls me Kunle. My middle name is Ayo Kunle. So she calls me Kunle. She's like, Kunle, you can have a very good case. But if you do not apply wisdom to your anger, you can spoil your case. Do you understand? You can have a very good... So I'm just using this as a typical example, right? So the very next morning, I was going to go and look for him again. As fate will have it, it's like actually the universe wanted me to beat that boy. I saw him, you know, while I was going, I asked him a question, and he just, yes, you too. You know, she spoke to me anyhow. That was the last thing I saw. The next thing, I promise you, I don't remember what happened. When I came to, I pinned him on the wall. His legs were not, you know, touching the ground, and I was just pummeling.
But that's what I'm saying. That one too was from unresolved issues. So, and you didn't even know how to deal with it at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So some of the things that we do that, you know, are bad behavior and make us out to be bad, treacherous, men who give other people trauma, kids, moms, our wives, our sisters, our lovers.
Yeah.
Some of them come from unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
And that takes me to a very fantastic point.
Just to mention,
Yeah,
go
the
ahead.
whole Nigerian news therapy, I think I want to say that.
Fantastic.
Then continue.
But one fantastic point again is that one characteristic of a good man is that he is self-aware.
Yes.
Because
that's
you can't even start talking about being a good man
That's
or
the
a bad
basis.
man if you're not even aware
Yeah.
of who you are or the kind of values or character that you can exude or show.
Yeah. Self-awareness
Amazing.
is key.
So let's take this up a notch. Like I said in the beginning, I hate the fact that, when it comes to relationships, I just want to go into relationships for a minute.
Yeah.
I do not like the fact that, women, you do not define what a good man is.
Women don't have that right to define it.
I don't say they don't have the right. I'm saying they don't know what it is.
I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I feel like a woman cannot define who a good man is.
Especially the typical millennial Gen Z woman. Do you understand? And let me tell you why in a minute. I have a diploma in behavioral psychology. And so because of that, I counsel a lot of people. Women inclusive. All the women I've counseled who have come to me with one issue or the other, especially in the area of relationships, all of them have the same stories. They all got with bad men, at least according to them. When you hear their stories, if you're not very grounded and you're not experienced and know how women talk, you'll be tempted to think that all 90% of the men out here in these streets are just bad men. They're just bad people. They're just... First off, let me save you girls from a lot of trouble. Number one, what a man needs for sex is not what he needs for commitment. I repeat it again. What a man would demand from you for sex, what he will tolerate from you to sleep with you is not the same thing he will tolerate from you to be with you consistently.
Yeah.
Men don't go into relationships emotionally. Me marrying my wife was a very logical decision. When Amtu got with our lovely producer, Miss Aureolu Aoyebanji, like when we had that conversation, it was not, the conversation didn't go, bro, she makes me feel, it was, bro, this is the asset that she is to my life. This is how my life is. And this is what she has come into, how she has come into my life to make it better.
They're logical in their...
We're very logical. Do you understand? So a good man, as it pertains to relationship, number one, is not a guy that will accommodate your bad behavior. So you're with a dude, you're acting out, you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to... there's a way you talk to a man. A man is not your girlfriend. You can't just talk to him anyhow.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You can't act out anyhow. Like, even if you're upset about something, like, I function better when you can calm down. Let me know what the issue
tell me
is.
exactly.
And I will apologize to you. And even go take it a step further. Try and put down actionable steps to ensure that that doesn't happen again.
Ultimately,
I think good men, we don't like too much stress.
Exactly. I don't want to have to argue about it. The moment you start coming a certain way, and a man that just takes all of that, he doesn't check you, he doesn't talk to you, he doesn't, we don't do that here. If you're going to insist on talking to me like this, then maybe we should hold off on this conversation. When you think you can talk to me respectfully, come back and talk to me. 2, I don't know the kind of life you lived. Maybe you lived a very, very promiscuous life, but we can't be in a relationship and you're dressing like a hoe. Do you understand? I shouldn't be finding you in places where you could be raped, you could be attacked, and it doesn't just speak well to your character as a person. Do you understand? There are certain places where you go to and you don't expect the people there to be morally upright people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And men have all these standards, which come into a few categories. One, they want you really feminine. I've said this a lot of times. Men really just generally want that feminine energy around them. That's why when we're looking for a producer, myself and Amtu, we thought about it and we're like, guy, we need a girl to produce this podcast. We need that feminine energy. We need that feminine perspective. Yeah. Women, I don't know what is going on in this world. Like, you never see men gathered in circles like this, in platforms like this, talking about, we don't need a woman. We don't need... But guess who does that?
Yeah, facts.
All of y'all be on all these podcasts, all these your shows.
Yeah, we don't need men.
We don't need you guys. We want you, but we don't need you guys. Dude, you never hear men say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You get, and these are some of the things that put men off. Now, men have learned to play the game of life well. That's something we understand how to do. Me and Bo, we're talking about this thing as with on these dudes that get you pregnant and then they leave you and stuff. Men know how to play the game of life well. Men understand. Like I've put it across to us a lot of times. Do you remember the first girl you liked? The way you were when you really liked her, how jittery you were, how very happy you were to just see her smile at you.
Yeah.
Life taught you a very important lesson from that your first crush. It taught you that liking a girl is not enough to keep her committed to you. That's step one. And to keep her giving you what you need in that relationship.
Correct.
Yeah.
Liking a girl is not enough. You need to come with leadership skills. You need to come with a little bit of financial stability. You need to come with vision. You need to come as a man. Yeah. You need to come with your spine.
You come with a backbone.
And funny enough, we saw a lot of those girls that we really liked, that we had good intentions for, even go to men that treated them like trash.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So that made us begin to recalibrate that, okay, if we're going to succeed on the dating market, and I'm talking about the primal, basic man here. Do you understand? If I'm going to succeed in this dating market, this is what I'm going to have to do. These are the steps I'm going to have to take to be able to succeed here. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when that happens, that guy goes into that gray line, that gray area between being a spineful man. We had the spine episode, and being what did you call that?
Simplified.
Yeah, and a simplified man.
Or simplified.
Do you understand? where he's like, I will do and play the role I need to play to get what I need to get from this dating market, from these girls. So I think it's very important that even as a woman, you know upfront what men need. What men typically look for. All the player guys that I know, I don't like the answer. The definition is the answer is right in front of your eyes. All the player guys I know, when it was time for them to commit to girls, they looked for the girls that you would tag good girls, and they got with homemakers, gentle girls, clean. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Men are not telling you what they want; they are showing you. Do you understand? Yeah. So if you in the area of relationships, and one thing I always like to talk about is a lot of you complain about how good men are not there are not a lot of good men in our society, and all the dating pool is bad and all of that. But here's the question that I have. When I counsel these girls, I always ask them in that moment, they go, have boys are these, men are these, men are that. I'm like, okay, in your life right now, is there a guy in your DMs or in your friend zone, most especially, somebody that you friend zoned, who would make, right now, would make a good man to you, a good husband, a good partner? They say yes. Why are you not with him? Well, I'm not really...
I'm looking for a sparkle. Girls like a sparkle.
And their
butterflies
answer is the most emotional bull crap shit I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, do you know that a guy can play a role? That's the reason why.
What he do, what he was.
He's a gentleman. She doesn't want a gentleman.
She will probably respond better.
That's it now. He's a gentleman. She doesn't want a gentleman. There's no bad boy. There's no excitement. There's no push and pull.
And I have a saying.
But I think that's how their brains are wired. Is until you activate that bad boy side of men. Until that is active, you won't. Until you switch that on, it doesn't activate those feelings that women.
But here's the thing: a guy does not want to have to perform in that regard.
So sometimes
for something that he wants to commit to. Do you get? After a while, it becomes stressful to you, the guy. So it's on to the next reel.
I feel you, Sha. If the Bible says if you are chasing trees, there's no end to it. So you choke.
If you are what?
The book of Proverbs is redoing.
Yes, now.
So many things you never imagine.
I'll put the proverb in the comment section. If you're chasing trees, there's no end to chasing of trees.
Yeah, true.
You die.
But this is my advice though. At least for people in the dating market. You still have to see, this is what women like. You need to first perform. But if it's someone that is what it, then you can call the person now and say, okay, come, I'm a performer. I'm not on stage anymore. I'm not on stage anymore. Now that we are sitting down, let your head be correct.
Do you know when this usually happens? After they've gotten married.
Yeah.
So the woman comes with, when you were dating me, you were like taking me around.
You were like
but
that.
now you've turned to something else. What about me chasing you the way I was chasing you? Told you that I'm trying to keep this shit up.
Equate that performance to, you know how animals, there's those mating rituals that peacocks would fly their feathers, flash.
Yeah.
The human being, the human woman also they're swayed by those kind of things.
Yeah.
The truth that I'm a go here. There's some performance that has to happen.
Yeah. For real. You have to show competence, which is what most women are looking for.
Yeah.
Competence in your character, competence in your social stand, competence in your, financial. At least, even if you don't have $1 billion, at least show that you can take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And show that you have something that you're doing.
Then you work towards being it.
Exactly.
That's the best.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for the most, I have a saying. If every single time, as a lady, I would love for you to audit yourself emotionally now. If your relationship choices are the proof of where your priorities lie, your relationship choices are the proof for where your priorities lie. If all the guys you've ever dated are bad, they hurt you, they broke you.
No,
do you know how cursed you will have to be to only have bad experiences in your, like, no good one, no one that is even a potential, that has more to do with you.
Exactly.
And sometimes, let me even, like, even if you have 1 or 2 shoulders to lean on, that can advise, after a while, they get angry with you. Every day, it's only you that this boy is
happening to
all your relationships. Sometimes people, your friends want you to have good relationship at some point because they're tired
so
of
you don't leave me alone.
You're not bored with your heartbreak stories.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel you.
And that's why, this even applies to both women and men too. At the end of the day, being good really has to do with being self-aware. Because even all these things that we have pointed out, if you cannot
everything
look
begins
inward
with self-awareness
and see that, okay, this is what, because it's from you that you cannot mirror and see other people that are good. If you can't even audit yourself, then how can you audit somebody that you want to be with?
Big facts.
So
that's why Jesus talks about removing the log in your eyes so that you can see clearly enough to remove the log in your brother's eyes.
Yeah.
One thing I will say as a general rule of thumb, going into the relationship world, just a few things to just put out there. Number one, ladies, men don't want confrontational women. They don't want abrasive.
They're not looking for Kitana.
They are not looking for monkey in the snake shadow fighting every single day. Men will go where there is peace. And all of you talk about, but stop for a second.
You say play the game. They are looking for peace.
You understand? Audit yourself. Yeah. Sit down and look at the way you respond to issues. How do you respond to correction? And I think the major problem that we have in our world with our women and men is that most women didn't necessarily have a father teach them about male authority or how to respond to male authority, because that's your father's job.
Yeah. As
a woman, if you have a daughter, your job as a father is to teach her what it feels like to be led, coached, and, do you understand, and inspired by a man. Do you understand what I'm saying? To be provided for by a man. That's why all of you, and some of you are doing all this boss, chick boss. A man loves to be needed. He doesn't want to go where he's not needed or useful. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I'm in a place where you're giving me vibes of I can do it all by myself every single time, then you don't need me.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It's what drives the male purpose. So men don't want you confrontational. Men don't want you overly independent in a way where he doesn't even have a need in your life. Because whether you like it or not, you do need men. You need men. Even if you don't need men, those children you are planning to have out of wedlock, they need their fathers.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you are where you are now. Because they did not teach you. Or maybe they did, and some people are very, 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 very unfortunate. Some of you, they taught you did not learn. Anyways, I'm done with my advice.
Yeah.
Any more things?
No, I think we've come to the end of this episode.
Man, I think we've come to the end. Thank God for
Moral
good people.
lesson is be a good man, not a gentleman.
And know yourself.
Be a good man, not a gentleman.
I know be gentleman at all.
Even the pants you're wearing have given that fella vibe. Ladies and gentlemen, like everywhere, subscribe, do everything you need to do. Please, I need to go and eat. So love you people later or whatnot.